Hello, everyone. You're listening to Going Solo Network, and we are so glad to have you here. This is WGSN-DB, and this is the Author's Corner, Meet the Author. But let's do some homework before we start because we don't want to get busy and forget, like I do sometimes. I get excited about our wonderful guests that we have with us. But you know you can reach me right here on our website, which is goingsolomedia.com. And then also send me an email. We'd love to hear from you, goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. I am Cece Shatz, the doyen of relationship building. And what I do is kind of unique. I kind of take you from maybe relationship loss, really feeling kind of down and not understanding really what your path is in life, and then helping you connect with all these pretty awesome people that will set you in the direction and the path that you need to go on. And that's what it's all about, moving you forward into the arena that you want to go into. And there's nothing better than going solo. So we want to let you know that you're not alone when you're going solo. So right here on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, we have all wonderful hosts and guests, and so we hope that you'll join us each and every week. So let's get on with our topic and our show because we got a big one here for you today. We have the Author's Corner, Meet the Author, and let's bring our author right here with us. I am so excited to have Dane Stevens right here with us. He has written a wonderful book, and it's Reclaim Your Power to Create Your Best Life, How to Permanently Heal Unwanted Behaviors, Chronic Conditions, and Addictions. And so, wow, we are really excited to have you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cece. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Oh, it's great having you. You know, this is a tough book. I mean, you think about it. When we talk about the topic itself, how do you reclaim your power, create your best life? That is a really huge stumbling block for people. So what propelled you into writing this book? What moved you into thinking, I need to reclaim my power. I need to create my best life. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So writing the book was, I just knew I had to write it. How I came about to develop this process, that is a story. It was out of sheer necessity. I was doing quite well in my life, actually. In all areas, I had a successful business, doing well, and living in a great place off the ocean, traveling, making good money, had good employees. And everything was going great except for my relationships. And because of that, I had a pattern of sabotaging, destroying relationship, and then seeking intimacy elsewhere right away. And then became such a pattern where I went, what is this? And it made me question whether I had dealt with a childhood abuse issue. And so because I asked the question, I knew I had to look into it. And I did some group stuff, and that didn't quite work, and did a bunch of counseling, different types of counseling, Gestalt and EMDR. Nothing seemed to really move me forward as such. And then I was referred to a therapist healer, and I didn't know much about anything about trauma at that time, and a little bit about energy, but she came highly recommended, and she actually tried to force the trauma out of me. And what she said, she asked me if I'd like to go for a home run. This is a number of sessions in, and she was not cheap. A number of sessions in, she asked me if I'd like to go for a home run. And who doesn't want to hit a home run? Wow. I didn't know you could hit a foul ball. And things did not go well. I still remember to this day, she had me, she did some body work, craniosacral body work. I still don't know exactly what she did, but she had me on the table, twisted in this position and telling me to go there. And I remember being so out of it, so in the ozone, I didn't even know which way was up. And I got off the table and I was scared for no apparent reason. I was plugged into an electric outlet, and I had jittery platelets, and I was just unstable and scared. And I assumed it would subside. I assumed it was just something that would, go through me or pass or what have you. And it did not. And I kept seeing her as long as I could, and it didn't change. It stayed in that unstable, my nervous system revving kind of way. Mm-hmm. And eventually she stopped seeing me because I ran out of money, but also because she didn't know how to fix what she had done, I believe. And I was a mess. The inside being the crater of the outside, my whole world started to crumble around me, and I lost everything. I'm not a millionaire. I wasn't a millionaire, but I had some money. Within 18 months, I was broke, and within 3 years, I was homeless. I lost my business. I lost the sale of a business. I lost contracts and contacts, and my life turned into a living hell. And I went to mad search to figure out what the heck happened to me and how to get my life back. And it took me 5 years to find somebody who could tell me what had happened to me. And Hazel, ironically, told me and knew because she had the same thing happen to her. She had a therapist, healer, what have you, try to force a trauma out of her. And now she's a trauma specialist. So apparently that's how we're made. And and then it took me another year. Through Hazel, I learned how my nervous system worked, and she was a student of Peter Levine, who does somatic experiencing. So I learned how the nervous system worked, how we process information, and about trauma, but I did not get the relief. I got great understanding, which was, a huge sense of relief in itself, that somebody else had gone through this and was okay. But I ended up discovering the work through John Bradshaw's work. Mm-hmm. And through that, I made a connection through the left-right brain process that he introduces. And I made the connection and knew it was there. I'd made the connection to that wounded, scared part of me. So it was a huge aha moment for me. And I tried to make that part feel safe and bring it out. And I couldn't. And it ended up being an 8-month fight with myself trying to do this left-right brain process. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't out of the woods yet. I then went on a search to find somebody who would do this work with me, and I phoned counselors and therapists and so on, anybody I could think of that might do this work, and nobody did. And I even tried to talk people into it, and nobody would. So ironically enough, literally across the street from me, there was somebody who had done this work and was willing to work with me, and I worked with Mary. Yeah, and I worked with Mary for 2 months, and in 2 months I was able to gain traction, and that is make a consistently healthy and positive connection and relationship with that light within me. And after that, this work just kind of flowed out of me. It's like it wasn't me. I can't take credit for it. It just flowed out of me, and now that's just what I teach, and it is profoundly effective. It's simple. It shows us how we're working, and I say simple, but it's not a quick fix. It's a relationship. And like any relationship, it takes time and effort. Mm-hmm. But it gets sustainable and certain results when you do the work. It's profound. So,
well, you're the developer of neo-trauma healing process. So explain that a little bit to me.
Right. So the foundation of the neurotrauma healing process is this left-right brain work. Mm-hmm. It's not new. It's been around for decades, but nobody has developed it for some reason. So I guess that was my job. So with this left-right brain process, I'm going to explain a little bit about trauma. And first I'll say, when I say the word trauma, most people think of somebody experiencing war or being in a car crash or some kind of a big mental emotional event that affected them in this way. But all trauma means is something stuck looping in your nervous system unprocessed. And that can happen from something like living with a high-functioning alcoholic. If we grew up living with a high-functioning alcoholic, we may not even know that we're on the receiving end of abuse, because that's just the way it is, for one thing, when we're growing up. But also, a high-functioning alcoholic may not know that they're abusing themselves. But we have to change our behavior around them, or we gain a belief about them because this abuse is being passed on to us. Something like neglect. It seems like nothing, there's no abuse there. But in neglect, we gain a new identity or a new idea about ourselves, and we change our behavior somehow because we do not get recognized. We do not get attention as a child, for sure, anyway. And in that, we have had to alter our natural energy flow in both these situations, and therefore it's something stuck looping in our nervous system that is not part of our nature, that is not who we are, and that would be termed a trauma. So you would be hard pressed to find anybody who doesn't have some degree of what is considered trauma looping within them. And it can come out in your health, your wealth, your relationships, your finances, your career, what have you. If you have any unwanted behavior, negative pattern, or chronic condition that you haven't been able to deal with, I can pretty much assure you, you have something stuck looping in your nervous system unprocessed.
That's amazing. We have a wonderful host, and we'll have to bring you back on to talk a little bit more in depth about that. But Arnie Fonseca Jr., he does the Health, Love, and Life show, and he's like a brain specialist. You know, he's been doing this type of work all his life, and so he would be a great person for you to have a really wonderful conversation with. But I felt that I wanted to bring you forward because I really thought your book was very important. And it's one that those out there need to really, I think, read. And like you said, there's trauma going on, not only with what is going on within our own environment, our own personal person, but also within the people that we associate with, right? And so sometimes we suffer trauma from the resulting of just being with somebody else. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And even in my life, I have been with individuals where I'm going, oh my gosh, what is going on? I mean, I can't believe this behavior. And it's like, and at first you don't think you see it, but then when you start realizing, yes, it is true, what you're seeing is happening, and then you're getting involved in it, sucked into it, it becomes extremely difficult. So I wanted to share that because I wanted people to understand that it's trauma that we suffer individually may not only just be us individually, but it could be our partners or a family member or a friend or something like that we experience. So which
it's important to know about trauma, and we're getting more and more information about trauma, which is great. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of information, so it's good to recognize, like you say, in somebody else, and in that to ultimately let them speak about it or have them get it outside of them. But we haven't had any solutions. We've had a lot of coping skills. We've had a lot of compensations, how to compensate. And and there's also the trying to blow through something, and that is not the key for trauma, and is inner compassionate connection. And being the relationship guru that you are, or talking about relationship, the primary relationship, the foundational relationship of all of our relationships is the relationship we have with the life inside of us, with us. Mm-hmm. So it is key to understand that when we see somebody in trauma, it's something happening inside of them. If we have a negative pattern that keeps going on in our life, what's the common denominator? It's us. So yeah, the word responsibility can be a little bit misconstrued sometimes because it can sound like blame. And if somebody's dealing with a childhood trauma, to take responsibility doesn't mean that you are responsible or you caused that as such. It's not your fault. It's not like that. But when what happens with a trauma is it stays cycling in your nervous system, and therefore it will outpicture as a negative pattern in your life. Mm-hmm. So when you know that, the responsibility is understanding that it's happening. It's still alive inside of me. And therefore I have to go inside, and it's my responsibility because it's happening. It's coming from inside of me. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so often, when we come from broken relationships, one right after another, it's again, like you're saying, it is a pattern. And if you don't take the time to figure it out, find out, the reasons of the demise of the relationship and what part you played in it, you can't take ownership of what it is that you had a part of. Some of it you can't take ownership of, so like you said, and it's figuring out that bit of kind of maybe responsibility in your head, so to speak.
Right.
But let me ask you a little bit about this neurotrauma healing, the process of healing. So what is the difference between, when we look at medical healing and then we look at this type of process of healing? Is there a difference between the two?
Yeah, like when you say trauma, in the medical and like in the hospital, a trauma is like you experience a head trauma, right, or some kind of a physical trauma. But with that physical trauma, just about always becomes the mental emotional trauma, and something like a car accident as an example. And we worked with one lady specifically that I remember. And every time she had a car accident, and it caused her a brain injury, and it caused her whole life to upset. And she came back to being functioning, but she still had these patterns and had a lot of anxiety in her life. And every time she'd drive by that one spot, she would just freeze up and tense up and be completely almost immobilized and trying to get by this one spot on the highway. And in doing the work, she was able to take herself out of that, to stop, to unfreeze that experience from looping in her nervous system, and therefore not keep having to have anxiety in her life on a consistent basis. And she could drive by that spot and have nothing come up, nothing to be triggered. So what we do in this process is, first of all, it has very little or nothing to do with me or the facilitator. We give you access to what's going on inside of you, but you get to make an intimate connection with what's going on inside of you. And therefore, you get to find out, first of all, why you're creating what you're creating in your life, or maybe not getting what you say you want. And you're able to give that part what it didn't get at that time, or what you're not giving yourself now. And most people just don't know how to do the inner work because it hasn't been available. This is new. And this is a direct line that gives you a direct link in a safe and gentle manner to your subconscious mind. And therefore, your subconscious mind being your most powerful creative faculty, you get to sort of get the keys to your life back, because you get to understand why you're creating what you're creating in your life, and give you the ability to re-choose, I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Well, this process that you speak of, is this a natural process, or is there chemicals involved with it? Or?
It is completely natural. Excuse me. And it literally shows us how we're working. How we process things is things come in through the right brain. The right brain is formless. It's color, it's sound, it's imagination, it's all the senses. So things come into the right brain and we experience them in their entirety. It's then sent to the left brain to be made sense of, understood, and filed. If that information coming in is too scary, too bizarre, too outrageous, the left brain can't look at it, can't make sense of it. It rejects it and sends it back to the right brain. What does the right brain do? The right brain does what the right brain does: sees it, feels it, experiences it in its entirety, and sends it to the left brain to be made sense of and filed. If it's still too outrageous, too overwhelming, the left brain rejects it, and that cycle has begun, and that would be termed a trauma. The brain's MO is survival. Therefore, it will push this barrage of unwanted information that's getting in the way of us, living our life. It will push it to the subconscious level. It's still very much alive, stuck in our body somewhere, looping in the nervous system, and will come out picture itself as a chronic condition, attracting abusive relationships, going broke all the time, sabotaging our career, what have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing, when you talk about it, and and being, probably in the last quarter of my life, and experiencing all that we've experienced and touched, it makes me really start to think, wow, I wish we had this a few years ago. I wish it was something that we could have shared with other people then, to make them understand that what they need to do. This process itself, is this a really long process, or is it just something different for everyone?
Well, it depends on the person, of course. It also depends on the duration of the trauma and the intensity of the trauma. But we don't keep our clients for long, for the most part. Mm-hmm. And in the first session, all we want is you to make a connection to that inner life and to know that it's real. And for the most part, that's what happens. It's pretty obvious when you do this work. And like we talked about, it's different for different people, depending on the person and their situation. But we tend to work in series of 12 sessions at a time. And we work with people 2 to 3 times a week. And we do that because the subconscious mind, I used to work with people once a week, and it was like pulling teeth. You have to try and convince that part again that this is real, this is happening, and not sabotage yourself through that process. So from 12 to 24 sessions, with 12 sessions, you will be able to take the work over on your own if you choose to. You'll know the work. But it tends to take 12 to 24 sessions for the most part for somebody to actually be able to take the work over on their own in, the way we'd like them to. We like them to come to a place of traction where they have a consistently healthy and positive relationship with life inside of them. And then, they can take it over on their own. And it travels a long ways. It goes into empowerment. As Dr. Bradshaw said, the wounded child becomes the wonder child. And that's exactly what happens, is when we unfreeze these tapes, slow these tapes down and stop these tapes, it creates space inside of us. That space is peace. And this space, this peace, is filled with who we really are. We'll call it our authentic self or higher consciousness. What comes through is peace, is power, is abundance, is creativity, is expression. That's our nature. That's who we are. And there's no effort there. We seem to have this North American thing about, working hard and making it work. And that's just, we don't have to. We're so complicated life. We just need to get out of the way. And for the most part, we haven't known how. And now, this is called the next step in the evolution of our spiritual, our healing and spiritual growth, because it gives us access to ourself and why we're creating what we're creating. So
that's amazing. It truly is. We have a couple comments here. One person said, "Hey."
Hey.
Yeah, and Florentine said, "Very interesting." She's enjoying the show, and so we want to thank you so much, Flo, for writing in. And also, Sally asked a very important question: is there a book? Well, my gosh, yes, there is, which is why we have the author's corner here. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the book. And do you happen to have a copy on you? Yeah,
I do. Right there.
There you go. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, reclaim your power to create your best life. And
it's right on Amazon. You can get it right on Amazon if you'd like. And then also, real quick, let me see. Do I have I do. Right here is your contact information. So Dane Stevens, right here, the contact information. If you want to give him a call, it's 778-319-0749. Check out his, is this your email? Is this your email?
It's, you can go info@ordane@extraordinarylife.ca. And that website, extraordinarylife.ca, is for the NTHP if you want to look at sessions and learn more about that. And I have my personal site, danestevensonline.com.
Okay, danestevensonline.com. So go to there and you might be able to get a little bit more information. We're going to take a quick break. It's just going to be a 5-second break. So you all know that we have to take a little break so that when we drop this into audio, we can actually distribute it to other radio stations and they play it and put their commercials up. So you guys, you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner. Meet the author. I am Cece Shatz, the doyen of relationship building. Our website is goingsolomedia.com. We're just going to have 5 seconds of silence. So just hang with us. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for that. Again, you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We're on the Author's Corner, Meet the Author. We have an absolutely wonderful author here today, Dane Stevens. He's the author, speaker, the facilitator of the development of Neuro trauma healing process, if I can say it. It's NTHP and the soul recognition process of SRC. So let's talk a little bit about that. What is that?
So the neuro trauma healing process is the healing aspect. And I didn't think we could take people from dealing with a deep-seated trauma into what I'll call spiritual liberation in the same book. So the Reclaim Your Power to Create Your Best Life is the NTHP, the neuro trauma healing process. It introduces that process and has that process in it. But as I mentioned, this work travels a long ways and it goes into the empowerment aspect, and that's what the soul recognition is, SRC. That goes into the empowerment where you get to the wounded child becomes the wonder child, and we get this very wise information and guidance that comes through us. And in the soul recognition process, we get to sort of learn how to feed ourselves in the different aspects of our life. not sort of, we do. We get to learn how to feed ourselves. And I love my job because really what I get to do is help people learn how to love themselves. And the first step in learning how to love yourself is understanding yourself and getting to know yourself. Our subconscious mind that holds our values and holds our beliefs is what is creating your life. So to get in touch with that part is key. And therefore you can't skip the inner work. The inner healing is the segue. These patterns maybe are the universe's way of getting your attention and taking you inside so you can create that relationship, which is a segue into the higher consciousness, your authentic self, who you really are. And when we do that, you get to be who you are, and who you are is effortless, and who you are is being. It's your nature. It's like going home. It's being who you really are, and your natural talents and abilities come out of you because they are there in you to be expressed, and there's no longer anything in the way.
Wonderful. I hope everyone will go out and get this book. Hold it up again so everyone can see it, because I really think it's going to change your life. It's going to create a great shift.
Where am I going here? Right side. There we go.
There you go. That's good.
And it's interesting because this goes right into mental health, and like you say, everybody's been affected by trauma, and we're seeing this around us, and our inability to deal with and heal trauma has come out in our society and has created a lot of unsafety in our world. So and I want to say that we have the group consciousness. We have ourselves as individuals, and we have the group consciousness, which we're seeing right now is coming to the surface because we're going through great changes in our world, which is a good thing. It's I know it's horrible, but these changes are forcing us to rise, shall we say. So there's some horrible stuff going on, but the result is we get to raise ourselves up, and we're being forced to do that. But I want to say that we do that first and foremost by healing ourselves. When we heal, we're affecting the people around us, and literally our family and our lineage, and maybe stopping patterns that have been going on in our lineage for a very long time. We can bring that to a stop, not compensate, not try to overcome it or blow through it, but really bring it to resolution. And when we do that, we heal our immediate people in our lives, our friends and our family, and that ripples out into the community, and that's how we heal. And right now, it's just too big to get our hands on. Everything's just like too big. The job is always us. We are powerful. You are powerful, whether you're aware of it or not. So this healing, that's how we heal the world, is by healing us.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I know that sometimes it's a path in which we have to travel in order to get there. And it's great knowing that there's someone like yourself that, has written a book, giving back to others, because you've walked that path, what it's like. And to be able to share with other people, this is what I went through. This is what how I've healed myself, and how and then you're helping others do the same thing.
Well, and I tell you, there is another side, and it is amazing and wonderful and beautiful and peaceful, and there is another side.
I know I say that a lot when we're going through divorce. A lot of people are really going through the trauma, and that is a huge thing. Some people really go through a lot of difficulties, not only just in the relationship breaking up, but the reasons why the relationship broke up, then also determining their feelings as they're moving forward, trying to develop their new person, because you're not the same person you were yesterday. Every day you're evolving, every day you're stepping into a new you. And it's amazing. It truly is amazing. So I just think your book is really pretty awesome, and I'd love to have you come back on and talk to Arnie, because I know that you and him could probably talk more in depth with the shift that happens within you, and different things that you can do. Now, we've got just a few more minutes here left, and so I want to make sure I did put up your,
Well, one thing that I haven't mentioned is on October 14th, I have a webinar for anybody who wants to come and check it out. So,
oh, that's very cool. Okay. So
yeah.
October 14th. And so do they go on your website?
Yeah. If you go on the website, either one of the websites, you can go and sign up there, and that will show you and introduce you to the process. So October the 14th at 8 p.m. Pacific, so 5 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully everybody can, it's a suitable time for most people. So hopefully.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us a little bit, if someone is stepping in, and we only got like maybe 10 minutes left, so we only got a little bit of time. But if someone is realizing, hey, I've got a problem, I'm seeing a pattern, other than contacting you, which I hope that they do, and I hope that they buy your book, because I think reading a book at home in your own environment, your own safe environment, allowing your mind the time to be able to take to process, going back, rereading it, because then that's why I love our shows so much, is because they're there for people to watch again and again and again.
Right.
Because whenever you're listening or you're reading, you only can absorb so much at one time. And so when you go back and listen again or read it again, you catch something you didn't catch before. And again, that must be your mind, I guess, absorbing what it can at certain. But so the question is if someone feels like, I think I've got to do something to start creating a shift in my life, and they buy your book and they're reading your book and things that they can do, and they contact you, is there anything that you could suggest that they could do on their own to try to help, quiet that voice inside, or help them to be able to connect a little bit?
Yeah, if there was a destination for this work, it would be this present moment, because the only place your power ever always is this present moment. And when you have these past negative experiences or erroneous beliefs cycling in your nervous system, it keeps you from this present moment. It is stealing your peace. It is stealing this moment. So, doing this work is definitely, and like you said, Cece, the first thing is awareness. If you have a pattern or you have something that keeps happening in your life, that's the key. That's the pointer to go inside, that there's something looping inside of you, a belief, negative experience, whatever that is. And absolutely get the book. The whole process is in the book. Most people are going to need help in the start. Contact us. We have facilitators that you can work with. And if anybody is wanting to get trained in this, we need more people trained in this because it is in its infancy. So let us know about that. But it can seem scary and daunting. But understand that the scariest part of fear is the anticipation of, when you actually connect. And that's where this work is so magical, because when you connect with this inner part and give this part what it needs, there's nothing to do. When the inside changes, the outside changes. And in that, when we can see life, our outer experience, as the effect, not the cause, that's the start of reclaiming our power. And this inner work becomes a joy, because it does turn into great guidance, and it'll challenge us to be more of who we are, to let ourselves out, in a sense. So, just start the work, be gentle with yourself, come to the event on the 14th, or, contact us if you need to. But, life is an inside job, and don't put your life on hold. It can seem scary, and the ego can be very tricky. Go inside, go inside, go inside. That's the key.
I agree with you. And I'm so very just thankful that you're here today, because I think that this definitely will create a shift. Those that are experiencing things in their lives right now because of the virus, I mean, my goodness, this is perfect timing.
We're being squeezed right now. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And they're overwhelmed. The kids are going back to school. They're worried about that. There's a lot of things going on. And so relationships are teetering. And so, it's a really great time to be able to focus on yourself, focus on what you're going through, and get in the quiet time of your life and in your day, and pick up the book. And the book is called right here. It's Reclaim Your Power to Create Your Best Life: How to Permanently Heal Unwanted Behaviors, Chronic Conditions, and addictions. And right here is our author, Dane Stevens.
And just know that you can heal. You can heal.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. Let's put up your website again so everyone has it. It's oh, you know what? Did I misspell it? I mean, I'm so sorry. Let me see.
And Extraordinary Life. Oh,
yeah. I left out. Let me just change it. Let's see. Do we have it right now? I try to do things so fast. Here we go. Dane Stevens, right? Dane Stevens online.
Yeah. Got it right. Perfect.
So DANESTEVEN, and then it's online. Online. And then, of course, your phone number. If anyone want to reach out, just give them a call. It's 778-319-0746. He will direct you to where you need to go, and make sure that you're signed up for this event that's October 14th, because you don't want to miss it. But you know, here's the thing: you have the power to change your life. You have the power to shift your life. And so, I love what you said. Live in the moment. Live in today. Make that decision that you're going to change something and take that step forward. It's all about the next step, the baby step, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the show. Again, if you want to hold it up so everyone can see what it looks like when they're going on, you can go on Amazon, and so you can see what the cover looks like right there. Reclaim your power to create your best life. How to permanently heal unwanted behaviors, chronic conditions, and addictions. And so right there, by Dane Stevens. So thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Cece. Great to be here, and keep doing what you do. Love what you do. You're very good at it. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, we're going to have to close the show. It went by so quickly. It's amazing how fast it goes. And this wonderful author here today with us, Dane Stevens, again, Reclaim Your Power to Create Your Best Life, How to Permanently Heal Unwanted Behaviors, Chronic Conditions, and Addictions. You know, get the book. It'll definitely shift your life. And that's what it's all about, is creating that shift, right? So you guys, you know, you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner, and we hope that you enjoyed the show as much as I personally did. And I'm Cece Shatz, the doyen of relationships. Our website is goingsolomedia.com. If you'd like to connect with me, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. It's goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. So I love you guys. We'll catch you here next time next week. Bye for now.